Yes. I am here. You are here. And we're about to make a fucking bag in Rockingham. It is Eric from the HOT PASS Podcast. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're new, welcome. This is the place where we try and grow the sport of NASCAR. We try and grow your fandom. We talk nonsense, silly shit. Say silly stories. We talk about everything. We'll talk about Tiger Woods rolling his shit, then seeing the body cam video. He said he's talking to the damn president. Bro, this guy thinks he's the man. He thinks he is kind of the man, but he thinks he's above the law. And we are all assuming that he wasn't above the law. Like, oh, he wouldn't think that way. Oh, no, he thinks that way. When the cop comes up to you and you're all hammered and shit or on drugs and shit, and then you're like, oh, I was just talking to the president. Bro, shut up. So we talk silly shit on here, okay? We don't care about what people think about us. We have a good time. Sponsorships would be nice, but we just say silly things and we keep it genuine. We keep it honest. And the vibes are always high. So I have plenty to talk about on the HOT PASS Podcast betting show. We kind of usually start off anything that we've missed throughout the week in the NASCAR sphere or anything really that is major news involving sports and stuff. We'll kind of talk about it and then we'll get into the betting aspect of the show. All right. So let's get the nonsense out of the way. I know there is a few new listeners, so that's why I kind of just wanted to be able to just break that down for those people. And if you've been listening for a long time, you already know the deal. So let's get the silly stuff out of the way. HOT PASS Podcast every single Tuesday and Friday, early mornings for your ears and your eyes. Go listen to the HOT PASS Podcast on YouTube. You can see the outfit, the layout, the vibes are high every single week. Go to the HOT PASS Podcast, like, share, subscribe to the podcast. I would really appreciate that. Really helps grow the podcast. Anytime you guys go over there, please leave a like. It's so simple. It helps grow the podcast and get it to new people. Then go to the audio podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a 5-star rating. Leave a great review. Helps, obviously, once again, get the podcast out to more people and grow this community. And then go to @FurlongEric _ on Twitter and TikTok. We had another video again last week about the Danny Stockman, Raja Caruth, Jesse Love incident that is blown up. We've had over, I think it's almost 13,000 views across all platforms. So go to @FurlongEric _ on Twitter and TikTok and follow me there. Then go to Eric Furlong 21 on Instagram and go follow me there. Big reminder every single week for the new listeners and the continuous listeners. You want to follow me on mainly Twitter and Instagram because an hour before every single truck and O'Reilly Series race, I will post my full betting card. That's why we listen to the Friday morning betting show to hear the full breakdown. And you guys want to follow me on there because early on in the week, I'll give out a few plays, right? Whether it's Cup Series, O'Reilly, truck, odds that are going to move. I really, really, really want you guys to follow me there so you guys can see those and get those lines super early rather than waiting for the Friday morning betting show all the time. And then go to the Action Network. Link is in the bio. You guys can find me wherever you guys can find me, and that's free. We have all of our Cup Series bets, including every bet I've ever made. I track all my Cup Series bets on there. When the lines come out Tuesday morning, I will sometimes take an outright, and then Wednesday, Thursday, throughout the week, I'll always post my top 10s, top 5s, like matchups, top 4s. We had a crazy week last week of 19 units roughly over the entire weekend, so let's continue it here in Rockingham, okay? Couple things before we dive into the betting aspect of everything. We obviously had Daniel die. Well, how about this? I'll talk about this. I signed a lease for my new spot. I'm going to be literally in the same building. Better setup, guys. Genuinely a better setup. I'm going to really dial this one in. I'm in the same exact building that I'm currently in. I'm moving from the 4th floor to the 11th floor, which is really nice. This place has a den when you first walk in. I think the biggest part about the place I live in right now for the podcast setup is it's right in my living room. I wanted to be able to have a separate room. I didn't want to have a 2-bedroom apartment because it is way more expensive to be able to have a second bedroom. And it's a little much. I don't really need a full bedroom for the full setup. It seems a little excessive for the cost of it until we really grow this podcast to be something really, really big. Until then, it doesn't really seem feasible to do that. But I was looking for a place with a 1-bedroom plus a den. So this one is when you first walk in on your right-hand side, the den's right there. So we're going to record the podcast like right where the den is. I'm also going to, hopefully within the first month or two of me living there, I'm going to make sure that I've kind of been pushing off the race sim stuff just because I'm like, I really don't need it. But I think it'll be a great video and great content on the YouTube channel is me trying to be able to figure out how to race in NASCAR, get a higher rating on iRacing, and try and get to the point where I can race with my boys Jarrett, the guys from Front Row, and a bunch of the Truck and O'Reilly Series guys that they're all friends with and that they work with. And I think that would be a really good, really, really good YouTube content. So the den is going to be designated to a racing sim, the podcast setup, and it'll be always stationary. So I don't have to keep moving stuff around. Like the camera setup will always be the same. It's a bit of a dark corner, so I'm going to have to invest in some better lighting, which will just make it a better quality podcast in general on YouTube. So I'm really excited. I'm going to do some renders of the whole layout of the whole setup and everything in the next coming weeks. I'm going to be moving April 30th. So I'm very excited about that. And the living room and everything is farther into the apartment, around a corner, around a bend. So I don't have to worry about it all being intertwined with my living room and my kitchen and everything like that. So if you're watching on the YouTube, to my left, your right, is my kitchen is right here. And then to my right and your left, my living room is right here. My couch, my TV, everything off camera. So it's a bit of a pain in the ass and takes up a bit of room. My bedroom does not have enough room to have a whole podcast setup. So it'll be really nice. Really, really good changes coming up at the end of April, beginning of May. So super excited about that. Yeah. So there's that. So very excited. And then let's kind of dive into the Daniel Dye stuff. Very interesting that he's been reinstated by NASCAR, but let go, or he's leaving Colleague. I feel like Colleague said, we don't want you back and you're going to have to resign. Right. I do not believe that he decided to leave Colleague. I have a really tough time believing that. So there's that. I think Daniel Dye, I'm sure, is a good kid at heart, but he's really learning the hard way. And if anybody thinks that what he did and what he said is not right, what he did and what he said is fine, I'm assuming you're probably you're not very considerate to others around you. In general. So we'll just leave it at that. All right. I'm not one to believe in cancel culture and stuff, but there's actions for your words. And I have it on the job site too. I cuss somebody out, I'm going to have repercussions, right? Every job you're in, if you yell and swear, I guarantee the majority of the guys and girls, mainly dudes, that are saying, well, Daniel Dye, he should be fine. He shouldn't get in trouble. Those are the same guys bowing down to a boss and they hate their lives at their own jobs and will never be able to stand up and cuss out their boss. So those guys live vicariously through those dudes like Daniel Dye and so on and hope that those boys would stand up to the man. Well, that's not how the world works. Sorry, guys. But so Anything else, I think this is the week of Cletus. The fact that books are giving him out at 50 to 80 to 1. I saw some books at 300 to 1, so that's about the right spot he should be at. Do not bet on Cletus McFarland this weekend. He's not going to be even remotely close to the top 10. Stay away. I don't even think inside the top 15. Unless people start running out of fuel and attrition and everything, and we have a lot of cautions. That's the only way I think he's even possibly going to make it inside the top 20. So there's that. That's my opinion. Now, Landon Huffman called out Garrett Smithley, because Garrett Smithley was given an opinion. I think there's a difference between, if you guys don't know the clip, go and try and look it up. I'm sure if you go to Landon Huffman's Twitter or whatever, and you go to his replies, it's in there. And Garrett Smithley's given an opinion on Cletus and been like, man, I hope he really takes it seriously. Garrett Smithley's a really nice guy. He seems like he's got a great personality, right? And it just sucks because he doesn't really have the talent and does not have the funding to be in a good car. And it's kind of his family's family-run car, if I'm not mistaken. But he was giving some opinions on Cletus, and I hope he's really taking it seriously. This is a serious sport. And I think there's a difference between me saying the stuff I say about drivers, because I don't race at all. And I'm genuinely open about that. We obviously know that. Duh. But there's a difference between being really good and talking shit and then not driving at all and talking shit. And then there's being Garrett Smithley and guys like, who else always runs in the back of the pack? Ryan Ellis, super nice guy, right? Brad Perez, super nice guy. Not calling them out, just giving an example of guys that probably have talent, but if they got in, like Brad Perez and Ryan Ellis, if they got in the right cars and had more seat time, I'm sure they're going to be unreal, right? I feel like that just makes sense. Brad Perez literally races every once in a while and seems like the nicest guy. Everybody backs him. Bubba Wallace was backing him, right? I back him as well. But for that, you don't see Ryan Ellis and Brad Perez giving their opinions on other drivers, right? Because of the position that they're in. I think in this instance, Garrett Smithley, buddy, shut up. Okay? We don't need your opinion. Your opinion doesn't really carry much weight about we need to take this seriously and all this stuff. And we look at you race every week and we go, but are you taking it seriously? Because it doesn't seem like you are. But hey, I digress on the topic. I don't race, so we leave it at that, right? Anything else? Let me pull up Bobby Pox here. Also, I got to say, I was actually watching last night. Bob Does Sports. I'm actually finishing up this morning. Their video, Bob Does Sports, they were golfing with LeBron James. LeBron James, I'm officially a fan. Was never really a fan. I would see all the headlines and everything. Everybody talks shit about him. But man, this video, he's the most hospitable dude. Just joking, having a good time. He's a regular guy. I think that's one thing that I always try and portray in this podcast is these drivers, when you get to know them, they're just regular dudes, man. And most people are, right? Most people are that are just famous or they're rich or whatever, or they're in the limelight, they're on TV. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them are regular people. And these drivers in NASCAR, if you just hang out with them and talk to them, they're just regular dudes and you'd get along with them really well. Like Bubba Wallace, I've talked to him a lot where he's just a regular guy. And I feel like people need to be able to get more into NASCAR because the access, I'll say it over and over again, the access to these drivers at the track, and if you live in North Carolina, they're just kind of around, without they're not big enough to have security around them and shit. That is they're easily accessible. And I think that's great for the sport. But anyways, I don't think there was really much the rest of the week. Oh my God. How did I almost forget about it? This is the last thing. We'll get into the truck bets. the Nick Sanchez AM Racing situation. Now, I'll pull up something that was said. I met Jinx Eugene on Twitter. His handle's Jinx Eugene. I can't remember his actual name. But the thread that started earlier this week, this guy Alex Fink on Twitter or whatever, he replied to a tweet and tagged Bob Pockris in it. The tweet was originally David Pequeen on Twitter said, according to an updated NASCAR entry list this afternoon, Nick Sanchez's 25 AM Racing NASCAR entry has been withdrawn from this weekend's race at Rockingham. That would leave 38 cars for 38 spots for the first time in O'Reilly this season. And then the guy says, Alex Fink says, Bob Pockris, can you confirm this? And then Bob Pockris says, yes, AM Racing has withdrawn the Nick Sanchez entry for Rockingham, so 38 cars for 38 spots. Jinx Eugene just says blatant, random shit. And I have to call him out on it on Twitter because I'm like, you're just saying stuff. And he's a shit disturber. I've met him at Watkins Glen. He's a good guy. He is a good guy, but he is a shit disturber online. He used to be, I haven't heard him really say much about Sheldon Creed after Sheldon got his dub. But he used to be one of the ultimate Sheldon Creed haters on social media until Sheldon is so nice and invited him at Walk. He said, pick a race. I'll get you passes. You can hang out at the pit box and stuff. That might have changed his mind a little bit because I've talked to Sheldon a lot. He is a funny ass fucking dude. He's almost got the sense of humor of like a Tom Segura, and it fucking kills me, dude. So if you guys ever get the opportunity to talk to Sheldon, Sam Mayer is I'm biased as fuck with these guys. Good Lord help me. Sam Mayer is also like a good ass dude. I think if we were all Sam Mayer and Sheldon behind the wheel at tracks are totally different people. Sam will run you over and fuck you up, where Sheldon would just be like, man, what the fuck? And be like, go to the interview. That kind of sucks or whatever. And then he goes home. But both are very similar with their personalities for the most part, and are just good guys. So I don't understand the hate. I can understand it in a certain aspect if you're a Jeb Burton fan, but who the fuck is a Jeb Burton fan? Right? Anyways, Jinx Eugene then says Daniel to response of the Bob Pockris tweet. He goes, Daniel Dye will be full-time after Bristol. Nowhere does Sanchez go. Now where does Sanchez go? It's clear he's lost all funding. I'm like, what? Bro, what are you talking about? Daniel Dye is not coming. Like, AM Racing is not taking Daniel Dye. And you can't tell. Nick Sanchez's family is pretty well off. They're pretty well off. From my assumption and what I've seen, they're pretty well off. The funding is not up on Nick Sanchez for a while. What it is the fact that AM Racing did not sell. They were trying to sell the team, and it fell through last minute. A lot of us know this at this point. AM Racing tried to sell, and then last minute, whatever, holding group or whatever it was, pulled out last minute, and I'm sure they've sold a lot of their shit. And now they're running, I think people are saying it's basically a ghost crew at this point. And if you go back at Martinsville, what his car looked like at the end of that race, he didn't even make it to the end of the race. That thing was beat up. And that might have been the one, or they might have had only 2 or 3 cars, if that, to make it to this race this weekend. And they probably put in extensive time to try and get this car ready for this weekend, and then just couldn't make it. And by the sounds of it, they're coming back for Bristol. And it is just a disastrous time right now for Nick Sanchez. I do think that he gets a solid Chevy ride next year, whether it's in the Truck Series or the O'Reilly Series, which is basically a Chevy-dominated series at this point. Definitely with Ford having basically nobody other than that 5 definitely this weekend. So I said lost funding or the team can't afford to come to the track. A bit of a bold accusation. And he goes, team sold to Sigma last year and Sanchez only has pay annuity on the car. And I just tweeted back at him, never sold. Because in the same thread of Bob Pockrass, you can go and see that like he's like the team, like the sales fell out last minute. So just stupid shit being said online about Nick Sanchez. I think it's dumb. He's just in a really tough situation right now, and I can only imagine what he's feeling every single week and what he's going to be feeling Saturday when they're racing, and that the fact that he's not at the track. If anything, if I'm him, I go to the track, I talk to people, hang out around a bunch of dudes, and just network the whole weekend, and just don't sit at home and sulk about it. You got to be positive, and I feel like after this year, it's a hell of a learning lesson. He's very young, but I feel like this lesson this year is trust no one and be better, and put in a hell of a lot of time on iRacing and sims and everything like that to be able to get your opportunity at another ride and be the best you can be when you do get that opportunity at a better ride, because I don't think there's much worse than this AM racing team at this point, unless you're maybe that 5 ride, which is also a Ford. Yikes. So, guys, let's get into the bets. Let me take a sip. All right. So, I really like a lot of bets this weekend. We're really hammering a lot of the truck stuff this weekend. I gave out a little sneak peek of what I already have early on in my on my Twitter and my Instagram, that I've laying rigs outright, a honeycut top 5. Both were extremely good here at Rockingham. Kind of breaking it down, the comparable tracks, I think that people kind of said it was like an Iowa. You carry a lot of speed through the center of the corner. You carry a lot of speed in general at this track. I feel like you got to be a hell of a wheelman to be able to pass on this track. I think going into the Truck Series and O'Reilly, if you go back and watch last year's race, it was extremely, extremely hard to pass. Qualifying is going to be at a detriment for these drivers this weekend. Like, you need to put a lap together. I think you need to start inside the top 10. And then if you're not, you need to figure out a way to have strategy to be able to make passes on pit road and get track position, whether it's 2 tires at times, whatever it may be. It is going to, last year, watch both races again. Both came down to fuel mileage. For example, the Truck Series had Tyler Ankrum won the damn race, guys. He didn't win. That his big ass noggin didn't win since 2019. Upside down head, as Ben Rhodes would say. I don't expect Tyler Ankrum to win this race this weekend. He's being priced as he is going to win it this weekend. I do not agree with that. It came down to fuel mileage. The 2 best trucks last year were Lane Riggs and Chandler Smith. I'm on both of them, so you're freaking welcome. They were unbelievable. Even with Corey Heim in this race, I can't remember if Corey Heim got in a wreck or he just wasn't that good and he was trying to get strategy, but he had to come down for fuel with 20 to go last year. Other ones, Lane Riggs, I think everybody kind of pitted with like 119 to go or something like that. Sorry, it was 119 to go, and then Tyler Ankrum did 114 to go or something like that. And he ran out of fuel. I think Tyler Ankrum ran out of fuel with a lap to go, and he had an 8-second lead because everybody else had to come down for fuel and everything at times. And he had better tires at a certain time as well because of the time he pitted. He had an 8-second lead, so he coasted around the last lap. You guys can go listen to Jamie Little's horrible final lap call on my Twitter. I fucking screen recorded and shared that shit. And it's absolutely horrendous for a guy that didn't win since 2019. So what was that? 6 years? you think you'd have an unbelievable great call. Not a fucking shot in hell. We don't expect much from Jamie Little. But Lane Riggs had to come down late for fuel with less than 5 to go. Chandler Smith was sputtering and fell outside the top 5. A lot of guys were having to come down. So I really hope none of us like fuel mileage races. I know in the O'Reilly series, Sam Mayer was sputtering, Christian Eckes was sputtering. It was just a really weird race. Crazy wreck at the end of the O'Reilly series race last year because Christian Eckes spun his tires or sputtered because I don't think he had any fuel left. I think I specifically remember going, oh God, Christian Eckes is going to wad up the field, and that's exactly what he did. So a lot of these guys in the O'Reilly series, when you're looking at their numbers from last year, they didn't finish well, like Quapple, Brandon Jones, so on and so forth. They got wadded up in that race at the end with Christian Eckes sputtering. So just keep that in mind. When you're looking at numbers and you're looking at odds and everything, some guys have drifted out because they're really pricing this off of last year's race, mainly. But for the truck series, we're going to stay on this path. The truck series, this is where you're actually starting to get into the season. They only had a few races. Let me pull it up. You had Daytona, Atlanta, you had a road course, and then you've had Darlington. Now we're getting into the actual season and starting to get into a rhythm. It is a little hard, I feel like, for the truck series to be able to get into a rhythm and be able to keep that momentum going. This weekend we do have Sammy Smith in the 7. You have Hocevar in the 77. You've got Heim in the 1. I think the biggest thing when you're looking at the numbers this weekend, I'll go back to my points from previous, but like Corey Heim, that 1 in the 5, like the 5 was not good in the Darlington race. He's being priced as Corey Heim should be, but the 1 and the 5 are very inconsistent. It's not the 11 truck. The pit crew is not the 11 truck. So keep that in mind if you're wanting to bet on Heim. Obviously, some strategy could play out and he could win. It's fuel mileage. Well, good fucking luck on all of our bets because you're going to have a guy in the top 5 that's going to fall out and sputter and run out of fuel, and now you don't hit your top 5 bet. I'm a little worried about that this weekend. Hocevar seems to be really good and then all of a sudden fall off. I think he overdrives these trucks. He could still be very good this weekend. Sammy Smith has never really done it in the truck series in that 7 Spire truck. He was really good in the O'Reilly series last year and ended up winning the race with Jesse Love being DQ'd. I expect him to be half decent this weekend, but it's not a Kyle Busch in that 7. So I truly do think that Lane Riggs and Chandler Smith have a hell of a lead, and Honeycutt have a hell of a jump on all 3 of those guys. What was I going to say? But I feel like it's a bit of like, this is where there's a rhythm going to be coming now, right? For at least the next 2 weeks. You get Rockingham, and then you get Bristol, and then they're off for 3 weeks, man. And they go to Texas, then they're in a rhythm. They go to Watkins Glen, then they go Dover, Charlotte, Nashville. You get every single week for 5 weeks in May, or for 5 weekends in a row, you get trucks. So this is where they're going to start maybe getting in a rhythm for the next 2 weeks, right? And I think this is where the front row guys are going to show up. I expect a win. I feel like definitely after Darlington, I think both of those guys need a rebound. Chandler, their setup or whatever it was, I didn't get to watch it or I didn't get to hear the broadcast of what was wrong with Chandler Smith throughout the race, but he fell back very, very quickly. Lane Riggs, obviously we saw what happened to him, but I'm looking for a bounce back weekend from these guys. And I think this is their style of racing. And we saw that they should have probably won this race last year if it didn't come down to fuel mileage. They just could not go and get Tyler Ankrum because they had to save fuel and ultimately had to come down. I feel like the front row guys are at an advantage, and this is their style of track. And I think they're going to be the two drivers at the end of this year that are going to be battling each other for points the entire year, and one of those two will win the championship. I think it's going to be front row all year. I think this is the time that this is where they start ringing off wins over and over and over again. I hope, but I hope that these guys like Hocevar, Heim don't come down and keep ringing off wins and stealing it from these guys. Mainly because I have money on it, but I feel like these guys and this team are dialed in. So look for a bounce back weekend from those guys, but let's start diving into the bets here. All right, let's go to Bob Pockers. Let's go to the qualifying lineup here. I think this is going to be really important this weekend, so just pay attention to this. Ty Majeski's going out 13th, super early on. He's going to be starting deep in the field. He's going to have to, I feel like, have some strategy. He's going to be able to outrace a lot of guys and be able to get into the top 15, but he's going to need some strategy to be able to get up inside that top 5 to even be a competitor for the win. Tyler Ankrum going out 17th and Jake Garcia at 16th. I do not expect much from those guys to be able to get up. Even Ben Rhodes going out in 10th. I mean, those guys are getting priced super short right now. Their numbers are going to drift because they are going to start deep in the field, guys. It's not going to look real pretty for those guys, I feel like, the majority of the day, and definitely with how short this race is. It is 45 laps, and 110. They'll click off very fast. The fuel is 80 to 87, so when I said 119, 114 to go, I think it was like 90 something. Might have been like 96 or 90, whatever. Doesn't matter. But remember, fuel is 80 to 87. So remember that when it comes to pitting and everything, that final stage, they're going to have to pit at some point. And I hope to God that our guys are still leading after that. But Hocevar is going to go out 22nd, but he's going to be able to put a lap together. He's probably going to be able to get at least inside the top 10 for qualifying. But the guys I'm really high on this weekend are qualifying towards the end. I mean, the guys in the 5 and the 45 are the last two that are going out in this race. For qualifying, and it's Adam Andretti and Landon Lewis. They are not getting the pole, and I'd be shocked if they even get inside the top 10 for qualifying. This is a very hard place for qualifying. I think this is also where, like in the O'Reilly series last year, like Quapple just did not hold it into the at all. Like there's so much speed going into the corners. We've seen, if you watch Cletus McFarland's YouTube of him practicing here or whatever and doing tests and stuff, he's had a hell of a time being able to keep the speed and coming off the corner exit and without hitting the wall. And, the guys that are wheelmen are going to be able to qualify really well here. So I expect Caden Honeycutt's going third to last. He might get the damn pole. Sammy Smith is going to be out there. Eckes at 34, going out 34th. Giovanni Ruggiero might have a good day. I have a feeling he might have a good day. That might be a last-minute top 5 play before practice and qualifying today. And Corey Heim going out 30th, Lane Riggs 32nd, and then the guys of Daniel Hemrick, Chandler Smith, Grant Enfinger sitting around the 26th to like 29th guys. Okay, so let's get into the bets. That's what we've all been waiting for here. So let's start at the top 5s. Man, oh man, when I was in Darlington, and this has no correlation to Rockingham, but holy moly, Christian Eckes at plus 240 for a top 5 after the speed I saw at Darlington. It has no correlation, but holy mother of Christ, I did not expect that 91 to have the speed that it did. And it showed that Jack Wood was absolute booty cheeks in that truck. Has no talent. And holy mother of God, Christian Eckes was inside that top 5, top 7 all day at Darlington. And we're coming to a race where he actually did really well in the O'Reilly series last year, where that 16 car for Colleague was very hit or miss for speed, for the pit road and everything like that. And I think this is where you got to be a wheelman to be able to carry the speed and make the passes here. You got to be a wheelman. It's a very difficult track, it seems to be, to pass in general. And I feel like Christian Eckes, with the experience he's had in the Truck Series, being able to maneuver some air on guys, maybe diving underneath dudes, and where he's going out in qualifying, I feel like he's going to be able to put a good lap together, qualify well. This line will get a little bit shorter. And throughout the race, I think Christian Eckes is going to be able to make some passes and slowly make his way through the field. And at plus 240, I like it. I feel like McElhaney Hilgeman Racing, or however you say it, has a bit of an has the upper hand on the competition, and feeling confident going into this race after Tyler Ankrum won last year. And Christian Eckes is a million times better than Tyler Ankrum. I feel like the top 5, the only way I feel like this might not hit, well, there's 2. They just don't even bring speed to here, and you go Darlington was a fluke, and that's a racer's race, right? Christian Eckes has also been really good there in the past at Darlington, but also just like the fuel mileage shit, right? A caution comes out at the wrong time. They're going to be short on fuel. I feel like this is the only way it doesn't hit. So Christian Eckes plus 240 on Bet365. Chandler Smith at plus 210. I talked about him briefly there, the front row guys, but Chandler Smith qualified really well last year here, raced really well, was going to finish probably third place, second place, basically 1-2 the whole damn race, and was racing up there in the top 3 the whole damn race until it came down to fuel mileage. And to get him at plus 210, I think they're kind of basing it off of Darlington a few weeks ago, where they didn't really have the speed. I think they're going to be fine here. And they're going to bring the exact same setup. They didn't wad up the truck. They're going to bring the exact same setup, same chassis, everything to this track, and I feel like they're going to be able to do extremely well. So plus 210 for a front row truck, and Chandler Smith has been, could you really call it a short track? It's like a high-speed short track. I feel like he's going to be able to put it together. I don't know what he ran in Iowa when he was in the O'Reilly series, because I'm fairly certain he ran that race. Let me look this up while we're talking here. But Chandler Smith, it just seems like with the performance, I'm just basically going off of the performance from last year at Rockingham, and those front row trucks were the ones to beat. It was a battle back and forth between those guys. So be very interesting, but a plus 200 or plus 210 number is amazing. So Iowa. Yeah, he finished top 10 in Iowa. He finished 8th. And I would say Joe Gibbs' cars are pretty friggin' good, but no correlation here. But front row's going to be able to bring it. That's like their front row's main thing right now is the Truck Series. And then another top 5. So that was plus 210 on Bet365. And Caden Honeycutt at minus 110 for Bet365. Last year, Caden Honeycutt was battling for the lead super early on with Lane Riggs, Chandler Smith in the 45 truck, no less. And we see kind of what those 45 truck or even Nice Motorsports in general has turned into after losing Caden Honeycutt. Absolute abysmal lineups on a weekly basis. But the man is a wheelman, and he very well could get his first win this weekend, and I would not be friggin' surprised if he did. And I feel like this is a lock of locks unless it comes down to fuel mileage. Caden Honeycutt, the only reason he finished where he finished last year is because he lost an extreme amount of spots on pit road because of that stupid pit crew team on Nice on that 45 truck, and it would always continuously hinder him when he was in the 45. We've seen what that pit crew can do for Corey Heim in the 11 truck. We saw how they kept him in the battle to be able to win the race at Darlington. And I really like Caden Honeycutt this weekend. I don't have him in the outright markets, but I'm going to try and figure out a way to be able to take Caden Honeycutt in some sort of fashion for a win. If I can get a 7-1 number out there, I really like Caden Honeycutt this weekend. He should be inside the top 3 battling with with the front row guys. So Caden Honeycutt minus 110 on Bet365 for a top 5 lock of locks. He probably get the pole, if not the top 3, and if not the front row. And I love Caden Honeycutt this weekend. And then the outrights. I'm going to first talk about the longest ones I've got. And this is the one where I talked about on my Instagram and teased it on my Twitter as well. Let's break this down. These guys finished third and fourth last year in this race. And that's what I said. And I told everybody, then go look at the race and see who I'm talking about. And you could get this line. This line is not available anymore. I wish it was for you guys. I said you guys can DM me. Not many people DM me. Some people got the numbers. Some people clued in to go look at the race. You'll see who it was, right? Rockingham race. Let me go to trucks here. Let's see. Let me just mute this. Okay. So where did they finish last year? Sputtering. Let me just look it up here. I need the full race because it's not going to show this. Yeah, they finished third and fourth last year behind Ankrum and Garcia. Okay. That is Grant Enfinger and Daniel Hemrick. And you'll be going, why would you take those guys? You just talked about Caden Honeycutt. You talked about the front row guys and how competitive they're going to be. Well, first off, Grant Enfinger is an old man. Yes. But when he's good at a track, he's good at a track. He was riding inside the top 6, top 7 all day. And is a great wheelman. And I feel like he's going to be able to put himself in the situation. Like he's qualifying later on than a lot of people. He just had a good race at Darlington. So he had speed enough to be inside the top 10 at Darlington, where he's always been kind of good. As well as Daniel Hemrick, just like, didn't really do much. It wasn't really a competitor all day at Darlington. But like, this is where the guys like are really going to start putting good races together. Also, Daniel Hemrick's a part of the Bald Man crew now. So shouts out to him. But the numbers I got them at is the most important part here. For guys that, if it comes down to fuel mileage, I feel like this is where it's like, holy shit, they're on the right side of the fuel and this could hit. I also feel like they kind of put themselves inside the top 10 all day. You never know what might happen late in a race, definitely in these truck races, and maybe they can go get a win. We saw it at Michigan last year with Stuart Friesen. He kind of put himself in a situation. All these wrecks happen. Stuart Friesen goes and wins a race. He was probably like 40, 50, 60 to 1 to win that race. I got these numbers. The books had Daniel Hemrick sitting around 30, 35, 40 to 1, as well as Grant Enfinger. And I opened up BetMGM. And I had to take a double look and be like, is this the championship odds? But even then, why would they put a McElhaney-Hilgeman truck that Daniel Hemrick won at Martinsville last year? So it's not like he didn't win last year at all. And wasn't a nobody. Like, he was good in the playoffs and everything. And was competitive pretty much on a weekly basis last year. Rung off a bunch of top 5s last year. And is a former Cup Series guy, really good in the O'Reilly Series. If not, I'm pretty sure he won the championship. If not, was super close. Really good driver. Grant Enfinger, super close to winning championships, has won a shit ton of races in the Truck Series, is really good. So I look at the number and I go, that can't be real. I got Daniel Hemrick at 100 to 1 on BetMGM, where he's sitting at 35 to 1 on all other books. That has been adjusted to the correct numbers now. I thought BetMGM, shout out to them. I got Grant Enfinger at 125 to 1. What? And shout out to them for honoring those numbers, that because they fucked up, honoring those numbers, keeping them, and then adjusting the lines. Where Betway, I've been limited on and pretty much banned from, they would do that. They would give you your money back and adjust the numbers. Shout out to BetMGM for being honest and keeping those bets. So I've got Daniel Hemrick going into a race where McElhaney-Hilgeman won the race last year with Tyler Ankrum. Tyler Ankrum, that has done fuck all in the Truck Series. Daniel, you guys can agree that Daniel Hemrick and Grant Enfinger are way better than Tyler Ankrum, right? I think there's no argument. You have no case to make for Tyler Ankrum being better than them. And I'm going to get, they have like Tyler Ankrum priced at like 20-1 and shit, 30-1. And then they've got Daniel Hemrick at 100-1 in a good competitive 19 truck that Christian Eckes won a shit ton of races in, 2-3 years ago. And then Grant Enfinger at 125-1 that usually, I don't think he won last year, but on a yearly basis would at least win one race. And I'm feeling really good in this race where I think these guys are going to qualify top 10, if not top 15. And then they're just going to be able to put laps together, be inside the top 10 late. And if they're in the right side of fuel, if it comes down to fuel strategy, these could be in play. And I genuinely think that they could be battling inside the top 5 to be able to try and win this race. As long as pit road goes well. Obviously, that's NASCAR. But 100 and 125-1, love those numbers. I'm sorry you guys didn't get it. You had the opportunity to follow me and DM me and ask about those numbers. I have no problem giving those away so everybody can get the value, but they are no longer around. Christian Eckes at 20-1. I know this number's not around anymore either. I got it on Bet99. I've been also limited on Bet99 now because of the absolute money that we won last week on the Daniel Suarez group bet at Martinsville, and now I've been limited. So that's always a good time. So I've been limited with Christian Eckes, which is whatever. That's fine. But 20-1 for Christian Eckes. I'm high on him this weekend. I think he raced really well in the O'Reilly Series race last year, which was very shocking to me. I was like, holy shit, the car is inside the top 5 racing, trying to win the race. I mean, it was on the different side of fuel strategy and everything like that. It wasn't really cutting it close, but still, Christian Eckes, I think, is going to be really good here this weekend. He's going to have a lot of speed. He's going out super late in qualifying. He's just going to maintain those spots, put a good race together, and as I said, fuel strategy, whatever it is, not even in fuel strategy, just outright winning the race. I feel like he's going to be a contender there. And then Chandler Smith, 11-1. I know BetMGM hung him out at 14-1. I forgot about it, wanted to bet on it. Now he's down to 7-1 on BetMGM. I know that Chandler Smith is on Bet365. Bet Rivers was 11-1. Go check it out. Chandler Smith, 11-1. Should have finished second or third, if not win the race against Lane Riggs last year. I expect the front row guys to be good. And then Lane Riggs was hung out. He's on BetMGM at like +1 something, +160. Other books have him at +330, +350 or whatever. I got him on Bet99 at +550 to win the race. Lane Riggs is a wheelman. Lane Riggs is the man. Redemption time after Darlington a few weeks ago. Lane Riggs to win at Rockingham. Bet99 +550. I'm feeling good about it. Those are the guys. Those are the numbers. Those are the bets. Let's go over them one last time. How about that? Because there's a lot of gibberish going on. Christian Eckes top 5 +240 Bet365. Chandler Smith top 5 +210 on Bet365. Caden Honeycutt -110 on Bet365. Outrights, these two numbers are not available anymore, as I said, but it was on BetMGM. Grant Enfinger 125-1. Daniel Hemrick 100-1. Christian Eckes +2,000, 20-1 on Bet99. Chandler Smith 11-1 on Bet365, and Lane Riggs at +550 on Bet99. O'Reilly Series bets. The numbers are not very good this weekend so far. I really think when it comes to the O'Reilly Series, why I took so long to be able to get to this is I don't have really much at all. I don't see any value really inside the top 5. I mean, you could take Justin Allgaier -140, but I feel like there is a bad race coming where he might wreck out. I feel like it's coming. I also want to say in the O'Reilly Series, Joe Gibbs Racing needs to get their act together. Where have they been? But the top 5 odds, we don't have top 10 odds, which is really shitty. I know this race last year had top 10 odds, and with the fuel mileage stuff, you could have made a fucking lot of money on top 10s in the O'Reilly Series race last year because of all the top cars kind of running out of fuel. and wadding up at the end of that race with Christian Eckes sputtering on one of the last restarts. It's hard to get in on really anybody for top fives, top threes, outrights, mainly because of what we're being given right now. If I went to the odds, I think the majority of the guys are across a lot of books are under 10-1 to win the race. A lot of books have the guys at plus 150, plus 160 and shorter. I think you got to wait to invest your money into a driver. I think you got to see where they qualify. I really got to see, because it's going to be hard to pass, man. It's going to be extremely hard to pass. And I feel like you do not want to waste your money if, say, all of a sudden you put money on Carson Kvapil and he can't hold it open and carry speed through the corners like he did last year. And he qualified, I think outside the top 15 last year. I think you really got to hold and wait and see. I think I'll give my insight. I think Jesse Love's going to be good. I think Sammy Smith is going to be good. I think Carson Kvapil is going to be really good. He was really good here last year and gets wadded up late in the race. Brandon Jones, low-key, was top 3, top 5 almost all day and was really good. He gets wadded up late. I have a bet on Brandon Jones outright because of the number that it's at, where he's plus 800 on a bunch of books, 12-1 on books. I got him even longer than 12-1 on BetMGM. But Sheldon, you got to take into consideration that Sheldon Creed, like if we're going to have a comparable track, it's going to be Iowa. So keep an eye out maybe for Sam Mayer here, right? And because those Haas cars, he won at Iowa, but I mean, there was a bit of strategy to be able to win that race, but they're in Hendrick cars. So keep an eye out for that. But during this race, we had Justin Bonsignor last year racing, and he got loose underneath Sheldon Creed and got up and wrecked Sheldon Creed. So you got to keep that in mind, where Sheldon Creed was running 7th or 8th at that time. Let's kind of dive into where everybody's qualifying. Sheldon Creed, probably going to qualify really well. Justin Allgaier is probably going to get the freaking pole because he's going out last. Jesse Love's going to be really good. Brent Cruz, I think Brent Cruz might struggle. Yeah, he's in the 19 and stuff. It's a really fast, really good car. But first time here on a style of track like this, he might have raced in the ARCA race last year, so that not necessarily his first time. I'm sure he raced in the ARCA race last year, but I'm sure he's going to have to put a lot of time. I could see him inside the top 5, top 10 in consideration to win the race. And the numbers he's priced at, you cannot be taking Brent Cruz right now. Guys that are going out super early on, Carson Kvapil, Sam Mayer. So maybe you want to wait on the Sam Mayer outright bet. I'm going to give you the line that I have right now. I think Sam's going to be starting kind of deep, and you might be able to get him live longer. But Sam Mayer, I think, is going to be really good here. William Swalich going out super early. Raja going out super early. Brandon Jones on a decently early. But I think Brandon Jones is probably going to be able to still qualify really well. He's got guys like Brendan Poole in front of him, Alex LeBay, Dean Thompson, Ryan Sieg. Parker Retzlaff, I think, got the pole here last year, so keep that in mind. But there's some guys where he should be able to jump them in qualifying, I think, with Brandon Jones' fast car. So there's going to be some guys. I think Austin Hill might be able to squeak out a win. You never know. Like, the RCR guys were pretty good here last year, so keep an eye out for Austin Hill at a bit of longer numbers. I don't mind those numbers. But top 5s, I have nothing at all. In my head, I'm thinking Sam Mayer at a longer number because of where he's qualifying. I'm probably going to take him top 5. Sheldon Creed, I want to see the speed he has, see where he qualifies. I might take him top 5. I'm going to be taking Sam Mayer outright at some time. I have Brandon Jones 18-1 on BetMGM. 18-1. On books, he's as short as 8-1. On other books, he's as long as 12-1. But 18-1 for a Joe Gibbs car for Brandon Jones, who he was running and trying to battle for the lead last year in this race. I think there's a lot of good junior motorsports cars right now. But I feel like Joe Gibbs is going to find their way here soon. I feel like Brandon Jones is good for one win every single year. And at numbers like this, I can't give it up. I think we hit roughly about this number, 15 to 18 to 1, maybe 20 to 1 on Darlington last year for Brandon Jones to win that race, and we hit it. Anytime you give me Brandon Jones at 18 to 1, I'm going to have to take it. You've got me. Joe Gibbs has just been very quiet so far this year, and I expect a win out of him at some point. So 18 to 1, I think he's going to qualify really well. I just do not like any top 5 numbers right now. But Sam Mayer at 14 to 1, I feel like now that I've looked at his qualifying, I feel like it's probably going to drift out a decent amount. I think he'll probably get out to the 20 to 1 or longer. Even if he doesn't, I don't think he's getting shorter than 14 to 1. I think you're going to be able to find this number after practice and qualifying because of where he's probably going to have to qualify. So keep an eye out for Sam Mayer. I'm going to hold off on this for the time being. Other guys that I really like in the race, see if Carson Kvapil, because of where he's qualifying, see where his number drifts out to. I think you're going to get longer than 10 to 1 for sure because of where he's qualifying. Yeah, man, I think it's going to be a battle between the Jesse Loves, the Justin Allgaiers, the Sammy Smiths. But I do think, man, now that I think of it, I think Austin Hill has a bit of a number out there at 20 to 1 and stuff, where he's qualifying. Where did he finish the race last year? I might have to fire off a Austin Hill bet. They really haven't had the speed. I think we've all kind of seen that. Like Austin Hill has just not really been like competitively fast this year, in any facet really. And I think he should stop going up to the Cup Series and fucking racing. Where is it? Rockingham. He got a top 10 last year. He finished 6th. Austin Hill top 5 number question mark. If there's a 2 to 1 out there, I'd take that early on. I like him. He qualified 10th here last year. And kind of just ran around that. And then guys started sputtering, wadding up and stuff. I feel like Austin Hill for a top 5, Austin Hill for a top 10 would have been a great bet. But I might hammer like or sprinkle on a 20 to 1 roughly bet on him to win the race. I like that Austin Hill number. So I'm talking myself into that. So yeah, I think it is pay attention to my social media at Furlong Eric __ on Twitter and TikTok, and then go to Eric Furlong 21 on Instagram. Go follow me there. I think that is where I'm going to be discussing throughout the day on Saturday after practice and qualifying and during it, how good I think they are, who's really good. I'm going to diagnose those numbers and see who's going to be really competitive. And you have to pay attention to the full betting card, but I think that the most important and smart thing to do this weekend for the O'Reilly Series, because of the numbers that we have and where guys are going to be qualifying, I think it is a wait and see. That's where you make your most money, is waiting and seeing and not firing off $1 million before practice and qualifying. So that's been the Hot Pass Podcast. Make sure to go follow me on all those socials. Go to the Hot Pass Podcast wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating, leave a review. A great 5-star rating always helps grow the podcast. Go to the Hot Pass Podcast on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe to the podcast. Please leave a like. It's super easy, just one click. And it really helps grow the podcast and grow the numbers. And then leave a comment, a simple little comment saying you love the podcast. Keep it going. You're killing it. I would love that, and it would help grow the podcast and get into the algorithm for other people. And then go to the Action Network. Link is in the bio wherever you find me. You can always see all my Cup Series bets or any other bet from any other sport. Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys always listening. Go Lane Riggs and Chandler Smith in the truck race. And go Brandon Jones at 18 to 1. And go Daniel Hemrick and Grant Enfinger at 100 and 125 to 1. That could be one of the biggest plays and longest odds of all time. And we'll see if BetMGM pays it out. All right. I love you guys. Have a great Easter. Enjoy your Good Friday, your Easter Sunday with your families and your friends. And enjoy a little bit of racing. Enjoy the off week for the Cup Series. And we'll talk to you guys next week on Tuesday, where we will be talking everything that happened from this past weekend. Hopefully we're talking about that we won an absolute bag and that we're going into Bristol. All right. Love you guys. We'll talk to you later. And peace.